Hey everyone. Well, it is March the 16th, 2017, day 13 of TowerGate, and this is my daily report. Okay, so last night we had Donald Trump going on and doing an interview with Tucker Carlson. And in that interview, Tucker Carlson did go through some of the stuff regarding TowerGate. If some of you saw that interview, then you know that Donald Trump did not back down one bit. And he said that they do have information. They are putting that information together, and at some point they will make that information available to, I assume he meant the committees that are looking into it. And he did say that he wants to allow the committees, both in the House and the Senate, to do their Q&A with various people, and then at some point he will give them additional information. So this kind of goes back to something I mentioned in a couple videos ago, is that what Donald Trump may be doing is he may be giving these people enough rope to hang themselves, because many of them have not gone under oath and on the record as to whether or not they were involved in any type of surveillance. Comey has not. Certainly Loretta Lynch, John Brennan, none of these people have actually gone under oath. There have been statements made in the media, but not under oath. So I think what Donald Trump wants to do is he's playing these people because he's really playing a game of poker. He knows what cards he is holding. He knows what evidence and information he has. And I believe if he didn't have it, he would have backed down by now, or he would have done something else. Again, he doesn't disclose how he learned about this. He told Tucker Carlson that, well, I was reading in the New York Times, and then, of course, it was a story, followed that up, and then a news station did a story. So, there's a lot of things in the media. So he kind of shifted it into, well, from the media. He didn't say, well, there was an individual, some source, like General Kelly or Netanyahu or anyone like that. But again, he couldn't come out and say that. He's got to protect those people as well. He can't throw them under the bus or put them into a situation where they're put in the spotlight or whatever. So he's certainly not going to do that. So I think he's playing poker. I think that what he wants to do is he wants to let the House and Senate have their committees, hearings. He wants to have them call these people in, get them under oath, ask them the questions, and get them to go on the record under oath denying various things having to do with the surveillance. And now that once he's got them on record and he's got them under oath, then he shows his hand and proves that these people are lying. So in a sense, it puts these people in a very uncomfortable position, like Comey, like Loretta Lynch and others, who don't know what cards Trump is holding. They don't know what he knows. And so when they go to testify under oath, they have to be very, very careful, because they don't know that they might say something which can be proven later to be a lie. And this is, a very good game of poker that Donald Trump is playing if he actually does have some information and some evidence that the surveillance went on. And I believe he does have this evidence. I don't know how strong it is, if it's circumstantial or what he has, whether it's physical evidence or whatever. But I believe what he's doing is playing poker. He's going to not reveal what he knows until people come out and actually say under oath, give some sort of a statement, which is going to make it very difficult for them, because again, they don't know what he knows. And it's a very wise move. He's under some political pressure right now to let people know what he's got, but as long as he can handle the pressure for a couple of weeks, and he said within probably in the next couple of weeks that we're going to learn some things that are very interesting. So I think that he's not bluffing. I think both he and Steve Bannon have been very confident. They're not backing down at all, that they will be vindicated and proven correct. So I would be very nervous if I were any of these people who are going to be called to testify in front of those committees next week and the week after, whether you're James Comey or whoever they'll get from the Department of Justice. I don't know if they can force Loretta Lynch and John Brennan, but I would be astounded if those two people were not called to testify. And I think that's the two people excuse me, I think that's the two people that he really wants to get under oath making a statement, because that's the two people who probably were the top of the food chain when it comes to setting these things in motion. So I think he's playing a game of poker here, and we'll keep watching it every single day. And at some point, what could happen is the pressure could build enough once these hearings start. The pressure could build, and there could be someone on the inside that, feeling the pressure, decides to come out and save their own neck. And I think that this eventually will happen. So it usually does in these types of situations. So it becomes every man for themselves at some point. Once, the same way it was in Watergate. Once they all stuck together until John Dean came out and dropped the bomb. Once John Dean dropped the bomb, there was no reason for anyone else to stay the course. And so everyone beginning to flee the ship and try to save their neck. And keep in mind, during Watergate, 2 attorney generals went to jail. Kleindienst and Mitchell both went to jail. The first Attorney General, Mitchell, under the first 4 years of Richard Nixon, and then Kleindienst, who came in after John Mitchell. Both of those Attorney Generals went to jail, okay? As well as the Chief of Staff and Nixon's entire inner circle. The Haldeman, they all went to jail. So, don't underestimate the size of this scandal or how it could play out. Once someone drops the bomb and the rats start fleeing the ship and everyone starts trying to save their neck, that's when the dam bursts and it all comes out. So we'll keep watching very closely. I think Donald Trump's playing poker, and he just may be holding the Trump hand. So that's pretty much what we had happen yesterday in the past 24 hours. Nothing really other than the CIA director, while the guy who would have been the CIA director, Morell, had Hillary won, and a very anti-Trump person was interviewed last night on, I think, either CNN or MSNBC, and he came out and even he said, no, there's nothing there. There's no connection to Trump and Russia. There's no evidence of that. So even the guy who was going to be Hillary's CIA director has come out now and stated that he doesn't think there's anything there with Trump and Russia. So that was a fairly interesting thing. I do believe that Dan Coates, who's now the head of national intelligence, I believe he got sworn in yesterday or approved yesterday. I guess he'll be sworn in later, but I think he finished his hearings and I think he's been approved. So Dan Coates will be going to do the job that Clapper used to do. Clapper is another guy we probably should hear from. He's been in the media denying there was a FISA request. Be interesting to see if he does that when he's under oath, testifying in front of Congress. Although he lied under oath once before, so he'll probably do it again. Okay, so that pretty much covers the TowerGate for the day. We'll have to just spend a little bit of time here on the Dutch elections. As you know, I was pulling really hard for Geert Wilders. He did not win. Mark Rutte, the incumbent center-right prime minister, did win. He won. He retained his position. But Wilders did very, very good. He and his party finished second. Actually, I believe his party, his Freedom Party, actually gained the most seats in the parliament. Wilders himself placed second in the voting. And you could look at it and say, okay, this is a defeat for populism and the populist movement going on in Europe. But really, when you take a much better view of it, it's not a loss. It's a win. It's not the win we wanted, but it's still, Wilders did very, very good. You got to remember, the Netherlands, probably next to Sweden, is the most left-wing country in the European Union. I mean, they have 3 parties that are really, really hard left. Then they have this center-right party, which won, and then you have Wilders, who's categorized as being hard right. And so for Wilders to even do as well as he did, and for his party to do as well as they did in a country which is so far left, is actually a good thing. I do think that they'll regret not electing Wilders, but another thing he did, he also pushed Rutte very, very hard. He forced Rutte to move to the right, farther than he wanted to go. And Rutte will also be dealing now with a parliament with a lot of Wilders people in it. So there's something to be said for there being some victory even in that loss. Just like the Austrian guy, Hofer. He lost, but it was very close. And his party, just like Wilders and just like UKIP, 5 years ago, these populist parties were nowhere. They didn't even, show up, as a blip on the chart. now they're winning or coming close to winning elections, getting lots of seats in parliament. And so there'll be some people in the European press that will say, well, this is the end of the populist movement, but that's not true at all. We know from the history of studying populist movements, the three that we've had here in the United States, as well as populist movements that have occurred other places, populist movements are typically a 10 to 15 year process. And so this has been going on now in Europe for about 2 to 3 years. So we're still in the early stages of the populist movement. It has a long way to go. And so I do believe that the populism will continue to rise, because the causes of this are not going to be fixed by the European Union. They are going to double down. More migrants coming in, more multiculturalism, more bailouts. All these things that are driving the populist movement are going to continue. And so the populist movement will continue, and it will continue to build. And so the next election we'll be watching very closely is France. Marine Le Pen will most likely win in the first round and go out to the second round. It looks like she may lose in the second round, but that's not 100%. We'll just have to watch and see how that goes. But either way, it still doesn't mean, even if she does lose, it doesn't mean that the populist movement is dying. It means that it's just still in its early stages and hasn't reached its maximum potential yet. I think we're still maybe 2 or 3 years away, because I believe that we are going to see it sweep throughout Western Europe. I don't know about in Eastern Europe, but certainly in Western Europe. Eastern Europe is a different situation. So, and I don't know populism, but certainly you are seeing countries in Eastern Europe which are pushing back against multiculturalism. They're pushing back against all the refugees and all these types of things. So, and if the situation just continues, nothing is really going to change. The movement will continue to grow and gain more and more power. So, anyway, kind of sad that Wilders lost, but his party did good. He came in second. He's still going to be a major voice in the country, and his party is going to push the current prime minister, the incumbent who won. They're going to push him farther to the right than he probably wants to go, in a very, very left-leaning country. Okay, so that's pretty much to wrap up on that. I don't think there's anything else going on that's particularly noteworthy today, but I do appreciate all my subscribers. Appreciate you all tuning in and sharing my videos. Hopefully you folks have dug yourself out of the 2 feet of snow on the East Coast, and things are getting back to normal. And hopefully for all of us, warm, beautiful weather is right around the corner. I can't wait. All right, you guys take care. Be safe. See you. Bye.